Hi, everyone. It's Holly Hall from Askhollyhall.com, and I'm a master astrologer. I've also got clairvoyant remote viewing. Let's get to the chase. Everybody's been asking me what is going on in the world right now. They're scared, they're frightened, they're concerned around the political climate. First of all, Trump shot in the ear. A lot of conspiracy around that. Conspiracy is not new, just the thing that we have to deal with right now. And also what's going on with Biden because he has stepped down. The crazy thing was 2 days ago, I saw that Biden stepped down. And I was like, what? So I looked it up and it was like nowhere to be found. And I went to look at the original and I couldn't find that either. So I was like, did I just make this up? Did I see it the wrong way? No, it was a clairvoyant download, remote viewing that I received because sure enough, he stepped down. Just a few hours ago, it was announced. However, if you take a look at my original predictions that I did with Trump in, I would say March, I would say April, May of 2024. You can see it in my politics, political, and celebrity tab in YouTube, as well as on my TikTok. I did mention that things were going to go awry. I believe I said it was August, though. So I am 9 days off. The other thing was that I did mention that there was going to be a twist with Trump, which I also predicted to be in August. So we'll take a look at that. I also predicted that there will be a recession type in November, and this has been verified by other people who are making similar predictions. But I want to calm everyone down around the big picture. We want to take a look at the Great Awakening. We also want to take a look at the Great Divide, and then also take into consideration the Great Polar Flash. What does that mean by the Great Solar Flash? Now, you might think that that has to do with the solar rays. No, it has to do with people suddenly, all at once, awakening. And that's what happened about a year after COVID. So I would say 2021, 2022 is when there was a mass amount of awakening. And many people will tell me that's when I became awake. I was awake about 10 years prior to that. And that had to do, though, more with the agriculture, the food industry, the poisoning and pesticides, as well as some issues with human trafficking. That became even stronger around the pharmaceutical industry, was popular for me 10 years ago, but was verified during COVID. What do I mean by this? November is going to be phase 2 of the Great Awakening, or the Great Solar Flash, which means an enormous amount of people are going to awaken. I want you to know where I'm getting this information from, besides being clairvoyant, and that's a mass ascension. Okay, this is from a website called, I printed this out like 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago, and it is from a website called The Great Awakening. There's also the Healing Web on there as well. So the Great Awakening Report is the website, and you can find that there. There is also a pyramid that you'll be able, it's an upside down pyramid actually, that you'll be able to find. And it lays out the details of all of the levels that we're going through the Great Awakening. Now, I predicted this a long time ago. What I predicted prior to that is the rise of the wise women. So the women's movement is also going to come. We need all of this, guys. I know it's scary. I know it's frightening, but it isn't going to be as bad as you think, and it is not going to last that long. We need to be awakened. We need to be aware. We need to know what's going on in the world in order for us to make changes. So there will be a movement. I want you to think of LGBTQ. I want you to think of the women's movement in the 50s, mostly the 60s, but well as a lot of people aren't familiar with is the 1930s when they protested to be able to vote. Can you believe that? That women were not allowed to vote until the 1930s. I mean, seriously, that was not long ago. If you look at the big scheme of how long women have been on planet Earth, as long as men have been. So what I'm saying is, with this movement, there's going to be, you think about if you want to get hired, there are now provisions in place by the government that they have to hire so many minorities, depending on where you live, that minority is whatever that may be. Minorities also include women to a degree, age as well, race and religion, and ethnicity. Am I saying that right? Ethnicity? Anyways, so what will happen is you're going to see everywhere made by women only, a company by women only, a product invented by women only. This is going to be a real thing. You're going to, I'm already seeing it now. The government and people protesting are going to force society to take a look at the power and the strength of women. Now, what's happened? Kamala Harris is now I also predicted that he would step down or he would get sick, which he is. We know that. And that she would step up. Now, of course, I predicted this quite some time ago. This is only a couple of months. I believe she's been doing it all along secretly, but nobody's really known. And there's also other placeholders as well. We know they're all just puppets, right? Is she going to win the race or be in the race or have anything to know? No. I'm Canadian. I'm not for Trump or against Trump, but I can definitely tell you that he is going to win. And whether I agree with that or not is not, it's necessary. It's not important, but it is necessary because he is part of the awakening, negatively or positively. It really doesn't matter what side of the fence you are on. Does this make him good, bad, right or wrong? No, none of the above. It doesn't make him good, doesn't make him bad, doesn't make him nothing. It is what it is. And we need to start fighting with each other not with each other, like with each other in our own battlefield together is what I mean. And this is the beginning of it, starting in November. Will there be a recession? Yes. Will it be pretty bad? For many, yes. For some, no. Part of this is also AI. I really believe that this is being pre-planned. Again, take this with a grain of salt, guys. I'm just somebody who gets messages, and the dates seem to be a sliding scale because things are being controlled. And it's not by higher power or the universe, it's by mankind. And therefore, the agenda keeps changing. And so do the predictions. With that being said, we want to take a look at the AI world. They want to bring AI in. They want to do it in one sweep. And it's very similar to when COVID happened, 75% of the people suddenly became working remotely and also learning remotely, teaching remotely, etc. When COVID was over, not over for a lot of people, trust me, the effects of it is not over for a lot of people. But when it was over, I don't know what the percentage is now, but it's a pretty big percentage that a lot of people still continue to learn online, teach online, work online, or work remotely, etc. That's the idea that's going to happen with this one. Everybody says that there's a pandemic coming. I don't see that. Even if they try, no one's going to buy it. No one's going to follow the rules, or many won't, like they did before. what's going to happen is there will be a shutdown of some type, whether that be a cyber attack. I believe that they tested that with cloud security. I can't remember the exact name, but it's a cybersecurity system called cloud something or something cloud. And they had a glitch in the system that took down large organizations that used Microsoft as their system, as their computer system, like making arrangements for the airport and whatnot. I believe that was a test, a threat, and it will happen again. I don't want it to happen. I rely on the internet. It's like my source of everything, really. And my job and my career and my entertainment, and my learning and my education, my connections with people that live all over the world, my clients. So I don't want this to happen. I believe it's going to happen in pockets of the world. It's not going to be like worldwide, everywhere, all at once, but it will happen in pockets. When November comes and Trump is voted in, and again, I'm not really well versed in politics, so you guys can agree or disagree with me in the comments with your educated, not just opinion, but knowing what is going to go on educationally wise, understanding politics. But there are people, big, important people in the world, and some of them are not prominent, like presidents or prime ministers in the world. Some of them are big players that we're not even aware of, or multi-million people in Saudi Arabia, in the medical industry, in the pharmaceutical industry, etc., that don't like him. And so there's a boycott. So if you're wondering, well, how's a recession going to happen? That's what one of my clients asked me, close to even a depression in the US. And if it's in the US, if it affects us in Canada, hands down. I believe that parts of the world will boycott the States with exporting and importing. I don't know why it would benefit them, because the United States is one of the biggest consumers of the world. And gas, China, Mexico, they even got, I don't believe Mexico will be one of them. No, I do believe China will be one of them. And parts of like Saudi Arabia will be one of them. And then just cut them off of resources, kind of like a strike. So it's not permanent. It's like a strike. Like how long, who's going to, it's a game of chicken, and who's going to back down? Just like strikes. Here in Canada, we had a strike in Ontario with the LCBO, which is the the liquor board of Ontario. They went on strike. All the liquor boards were shut down. They were on strike for a few weeks. It really affected people, just like teachers can very much affect people as well. This will be the same idea. So we'll see what happens. Again, take this with a grain of salt, put it in your back pocket. Let's see what's happened. But I want you guys to remember the big, giant picture. We need the world to shift. They have created so much damage in the world. And I'm not just talking with nature or the ecosystem or with earth or the air or the waters. That's huge anyway on its own. It's so many millions of pieces of the world that have been affected. It's unsurmountable. And it's only been since barely the industrial age, like really since World War II, the 40s and the 50s. That's when, mostly in the 70s and the 80s, specifically the 80s, when they started mass production, specifically of food, and poisoning us. And they are. Sorry, guys, we're being poisoned. And until you know that and you start eating accordingly, and I do that, and it's the hardest thing in the world. It's the most boring way to eat. It's very difficult, but I manage. Some people are way better than I am at it. Till we do this on a mass scale, and things will have to be taken away. So when all these things are taken away, then they're going to come back. Okay, here's AI. Boom. AI is going to do this now. AI is going to do that now. You guys don't need to come back. We're going to take care of this with AI. How are we going to retaliate? By not needing AI. I like it for a lot of things. Like I like it for the medical, because I can see that in the medical industry, they will be able to diagnose with such accuracy and individuality. They will be able to do precise surgeries that like certain ones where you could have 5 different doctors do the same surgery and you'd have 5 different outcomes. It won't be that way. There are some situations where we need a human touch. We need a human to do the surgery, etc. There will be things like the implants where people who are paraplegic or have lost a limb or want a bionic limb, and their brain can tell these limbs what to do with this. They can see visually, the blind, etc. So we do want a lot of AI. We really do. However, a big chunk of it, just like anything else, isn't going to be that great. And we have to decipher what that is. It's just like food. We need food. We want food. Food is desirable. Food is enjoyable on so many levels, body, mind, and soul, and social interactions, etc. But we don't want certain foods. We don't want them in our lives. It doesn't mean we want to kibosh all food. So it'll be the same thing. We have to discern what is healthy for us, what is good for us, and what we want to boycott and what we want to keep away from our children. And what is harming children around the world. Because there is so many things that we use every day that is slave labor, harming children around the world, and adults as well. That is everyday stuff that you're not even aware of. I'm not going to make this about that. I'm not going to make this podcast about that. You can do your own research. But we're in the middle of the Great Divide. And we're going to win. We always win. We will. Always. Namaste.